Hello again, guys. This is a surfcasting trip we've done recently, and this is a storm beach not far from where I live. And these were Neap tides. These were sort of tides I don't usually fish. However, just fancied giving it a go. I had some spare ragworm hanging about, plus some large dead baits, which I were using targeting bass, and I wanted to try out these Berkley Gulp new penny peeler crabs, 2-inch, which I had. I believe I could get them on that as well. We'll go into that a little bit later. But we're just rigging up 2 rods. I've got like the carp rod or the any fish anywhere estuary rod. It's 12 foot. It's a bit like a carp rod, really. 30 to 100 gram. We'll cast a 3-ounce lead. I think it's 30 gram to 100, so it's a 3-ounce lead it will do. However, read online it will take a 4-ounce. I did have one. I was just trying a 3-ounce. So it's flat calm. So when it's flat calm like that, that's ideal conditions for the Smoothound. If you're targeting them, that's exactly what you need. You need the flat calm. So it's a bit early. This neck of the woods. This is Norfolk, and there we've got the traditional 14-foot surfcaster there as well, which is pumping out a bait a long way targeting the Smoothound. We've got one in close with the light rod there, the light estuary rod there, literally fishing about 20-30 yards out. I think the bass are a lot closer in than that, but this is the fake bait, or the Berkley Gulp. I have caught on it before, not in this country. In New Zealand, I caught a red cod on one of them, but it was the sea was quite, winter time, the sea was very clear. So I think in the summertime, I think a bass, or even at night time when the water's clear, I think you could pick up a bass on that particular bait. It's just something to try. It's, if you can't get hold of any normal crabs, then that's what you could try. So I've remembered my waders this time, so that was a result. So not much of a cast here. Probably doesn't do the Day with Millionaire much justice with that. You probably get away a bit better fishing a fixed spool. Just a carp rod would do in conditions like this. If the tide's running a bit more, there's a heavier sea, I'd say you're going to struggle with your 3-ounce lead and your shorter rod. So that's where you default back to your traditional sort of equipment. So we're getting taps there. And we're fishing 1/0 hooks on the estuary rod, and we've got some ragworm on there, and picking up lots of these things. Now, very good at the top of the tide. So we got there at high water and we're fishing it on the way down. So the first hour of the ebb, there's plenty of bites, plenty of these. And then it went very quiet for about 3 hours, and it always does. It's like this, the top part of the ebb, usually for me, is not very productive at all. And it picks up a lot better for your bass and your flatfish, your Smoothound, about 2 hours before low water. There's a doggy there as well. You can see the tide ebbing away. About where that sand is about high water-ish, maybe a little bit higher up. So it's just gone down a bit. We're still getting the bites. We're just tipping it with a bit of mackerel there, because we have been picking up the food turbot at a spot not too far away from here. And that seemed to pick off the turbot. They're not huge, but they're there. And we just got some ragworm, which I ordered from online baits. Do pay a little bit in postage and packaging, but if you ain't got a lot of time for collecting bait, this, that and the other, sometimes
can get a little turbot like that.
That's worth just ordering a load of baits and frozen baits and live baits and stuff in one hit. Just ragworm lasts forever in the fridge. So I'm talking about, if you order it, that'll stay in your fridge for a week easily. As we're lugworm, 3 or 4 days, something like that. So if you want to do several sessions, my recommendation: get some ragworm. Brilliant stuff, and I've fallen in love with it. It's really good bait. Flatfish love it. Smoothound love it. I think everything bass love it as well. So we've got the tripod there. Tried to not bring the tripod, but didn't have a lot of choice on what to fish 2 rods, so only got 1 rod spike. So that's just a Parker rod pod there. I think I got that from Veals, mail order. It's only cheap, it's only about 25, 30 quid, something like that. It's a cheap one. But I remember having a Parker one years ago when I first started out, about 25 years ago, and swear by it. Cheap but basic, but well made, really light. And yeah, so what I did notice on this particular trip, as I wound one of the flatfish in, there was a lot of little sprats jumping out of the water. And then when the water was clear here, that's a good telltale sign that you're going to run into some bass. This is the Any Fish Anywhere rod. It is quite expensive for what it is. It's a couple hundred quid, but it is well made and it's very robust. But you could get away with just a cheap carp rod, really, and it'd pretty much do the same thing. Did have a problem on this trip with May snotweed, and it's something we get around this coast, and it just clogs up the line. So my range, I had to keep the rods really close in when the mayweed came in, which was probably about halfway down the tide, something like that. So it's a real pig to get off. I mean, it can just soul destroy. So the best thing to do when you get it all on your line like that, just snip off your leader and grab the May snotweed and just keep running it along the length of the line until you get it all off, and then quickly just retie on your shock leader knot. And then change tactics, drop your bait in short. It's as simple as that, instead of just struggling with it. You've got just as good a chance of picking up something close in as you had. Just keep persevering with picking up lots and lots of weed. So the waders were doing their job here this time. They're not too bad, those vast waders. All I would say, they struggle a little bit with comfort on the sole, walking around on stones after a few hours. So if you can get a lot of cushioned insert, I would recommend that. But they are quite nice. They keep your clothes clean of all the squid guts and this, that and the other. And obviously keep your feet wet, and if there's a wave comes in and splashes you, you know. So we've got a bucket there as well, you notice. So I've got some salt water in there, and I use that just to wash my hands, because when I'm baiting up with the different mackerels and the squids and the cuttlefish and the crabs and all that, that really can just sort of get on your hands, get on your clothes and make quite uncomfy. And also, if you get a small little live bait, you can chuck it in there. I'll keep it alive in there, just long enough for you to quickly de-rig, change tactics, hook it up, and then flick it out 10 or 15 yards. So that's a perfect strategy for that. But in a small little bucket like that, they won't last forever. So as you can see, it's flat, calm, perfect smoothhound conditions. You do need crab. Hardback crabs are fine. You can snip them in 2, wrap them on with your cotton. 1 decent hook, about 4.0 I would recommend. Probably £20 amnesia leader will be more than suffice. You can put 2 hooks in it, Pinnell rig, and do all that, but I find just a big single hook with a good barb on it is enough to snare your smoothhound. But there's a few small ones shown at the minute. Where are we now? Early May, but you can see all the crap which is out there at a certain stage of the tide there. I think that's about halfway down when that sort of started to happen. Quite common. And yeah, so that's the rig. There's a 3 ounce lead there, and just ragworm. Look, some really nice ragworm. They were 20 quid for, is it 500 grams? I'm not quite sure. But we got some other frozen bits and pieces as well. And I've got one of those peeler crabs on there, fake peeler crabs up there. Just as a just trying it. You never know if there's something around out there sniffing around, especially when you've got some other baits on different hooks. The scent is there to bring them in, but I think that would be more of a sight thing as the water starts to get a bit clearer. There's no snags there, not this particular spot. To the left there is, so you know it's. I don't like losing leads, but it does happen from time to time. But it just depends, you know, you've got to sort of select where to fish is best, really. So it was a nice trip. Caught a few bits and pieces. I think on this trip we had whiting, we had about 5 or 6 dabs. We had, what did we have? We had something else. Can't remember. We had the Smoothound. We had something else, and I cannot remember what it was. So we're just baiting up with rag, tipping it with a bit of squid, and oh yeah, we had a dogfish. How could we forget? We had the dogfish. So this is, like I say, this is a tide. These are tides I wouldn't usually do, but I just fancied getting out there, just fancied doing it, and just giving it a go. Sometimes the Neap tides, if you're fishing near rough ground, usually the top half of the tide, that is a good time to pick off a good bass. So don't rule out the weaker tides to not picking out a good bass. They're not always on the big tides. So my recommendation would be, if you're near rough ground or fishing at a spot where really you can only fish it for a couple of hours at high water because it's so sort of snaggy, so to speak, and just drop it in short in front of the reef or whatever. Even on your weaker tides, they do say that some anglers prefer to fish them sort of areas on those particular tides. So you never can say never. So as long as you're fishing properly, the right bait, and you know, you can sort of, you've got every once in a while when you go, you've got a sort of chance that you're going to run into this good fish. You've got a chance, and we got a good little nibble on there. So always pay. There's the Smoothound. Always pays to. Facebook is really good for seeing what's being caught, and you fish in spots where you know some good fish have been caught before is key. If they're there once, they'll be there again. And yeah, that's what's showing at the minute, just some small ones. If you want, my recommendation for the Smoothound is nighttime. It's not a lot good for doing films and things like that. However, they do seem to be more active at night, no question about that. And when I'm going for the big ones, that's when I would go. And just crab bait. And frozen hardbacks would be fine. Peeler if you can get them. And that was just on ragworm. They'll take squid, they'll take lugworm, they'll take anything really. But you could get a big Smoothound from now on. You know, in May, June. I think you could probably still get them in July, but mainly sort of from now on, the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks is when you would want to be visiting the beach to target a decent one, a double thicker one. You just got to fish for them. You just got to fish hardback crab, and then you'll you know, if you're persistent, you should get one. But you've got to have a calm sea. You want plenty of. My experience would be plenty of water in the bay, so around high water. That's whether it's ebbing or you know, or it's coming in. Plenty of water there, and nighttime, and key flat calm. And go when you're aware that there's crabs are active. So it's not rocket science. And again, sorry, another one I forgot to mention about the Smoothound. Biggest tides again. But if the crabs are there, then that shouldn't make too much difference. But you'll probably get more fish on a bigger tide. And fish near rough ground. So yeah, that's ebbing away there. We fished it till slack water, and loads of little flatfish there. Size 1 hooks if you want your flatfish. size one will you'll still pick up a good bass on a size one. You'd be surprised. You don't need a hook higher up or anything like that. You can still fish quite a big bait there, loading it up. They'd make good live baits for a bass. Things like that. Taupe as well. But you won't get the taupe until the mackerel start showing up, in my opinion. And so that was it. It's just, you know, it's just a few bits and pieces. It's a spring, you know, an average sort of spring session, just to sort of see what's there, a reflection of what a few of the reports have been going on, and I just go on these trips just as a bit of an experiment, really, just to see what it's doing, and you know, and the results from this trip just sort of didn't surprise me really, but it was very enjoyable, and. You know, it's got a mackerel head on there as well, so I'm trying a few different things there. I mean, they're big bass baits, so you know, although I'm fishing for sort of small flatfish as well, I've got like different baits, you know, searching for different things. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Would have liked to have a real decent one there for you, but you know, we caught fish nonetheless. And it was nice to fish with a lighter rod as well, play around with that. And the Air Force, the American Air Force, were doing a little practice run that evening as well. And yeah, so yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm not sure what the next one's going to be. Might be a tench session as it's starting to warm up a little bit. And tight lines, guys, and please subscribe. See you later.